Oh, no, we're definitely going to use all the lactating stuff, too.
Welcome to Spinsters, a podcast where we love gambling. I'm Jordan Liggins, that's Haley O'Shaughnessy, and today we have guest Matt Perrault. We chatted with him at the Blue Wire Studios in the Wynn Las Vegas Hotel, and he basically gives us gambling 101. We ask a lot of questions. Also, stay tuned for part 2 of our Vegas series. On Thursday, you'll hear an interview with WynnBET senior trader Matoy Pearson, where we get into the details of his job, which is actually setting the lines. It's fascinating. A few housekeeping things before we get started. Make sure to subscribe to the Spinsters YouTube. We have a very special video on there right now from our weekend in Las Vegas where we had a PowerPoint party. And that's all I'm going to say about that. You have to go check it out to see the rest. Without further ado, let's get into our interview with Matt.
Come here. I was like, you got to watch this. Like, this is the great women playing Iowa right now in basketball. And she was like, what? So she's just sort of now getting into sports and getting into the idea of like, daddy gambles for a living? Okay.
Yes.
How does this work? Like what? Daddy who? She always looks at me. Daddy, who do you want to win?
I was going to ask about that. She's like into it now.
She just knows I bet. She's like, who'd you bet? Which team did you bet? And she kind of gets sports point spread. She's like, so how many points is that team got to win by? And it's like,
wow. That's better than me.
That was more than Jordan. I didn't want to put you out there, but she's fine. I know nothing.
I know nothing.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I think that the next monster wave is going to be women who understand sports betting to the point where, like, ESPN sold out their ad revenue, their ad space 40 days prior to the tournament. Mm-hmm. We will start to see sports betting explode with women's sports.
Yep.
We actually
Explode.
can we just start recording? So we can
We're rolling it.
Okay, great.
Can we start?
I was like, please, this is so good. Yeah.
I do it in my show too. You always waste all the good stuff.
Yeah.
The pre-interview.
That was really one of the main things we wanted to talk to you about is how much has gambling infiltrated women's sports, if at all?
Yeah, let's do it. My background, obviously, I'm involved in sports betting heavily. So I bet every day. I've bet every day for years and years. And so I've watched, being from the play-by-play background, I was UMass Women for 2 years when I was in college. That's how I got my first job as the voice of UVA Women. And if you had told me 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that sports betting was going to be an enormous potential market for women's sports, I would have said you're crazy. Or like, come on, there's no way. Now, if you look at the fact that we had 40 days out, ESPN sold out of all their advertising allotments for the women's tournament, and you can bet here in Vegas, you can bet on women's softball and women's basketball. Those are the two big. Certain books are looking at professional soccer as like, do you want to take bets on professional soccer? But the women who know the sport, who can actually make lines, that is a job career coming very, very soon. If you are an expert in, if you know the teams in women's basketball, if you're able to set the lines, if you can win consistently, that is a huge market, because I think once people figure out winning a bet is winning a bet. It doesn't matter. I don't get more money for betting on football. I don't get more money for betting on basketball.
True.
A winning bet's a winning bet. So if I can bet on a women's basketball game, if I understand the sport well enough to handicap it properly, see the sport, see a game, break it down, well, then that's all we have to ask for, really. I mean, that's a winning, $100 bet's $100 bet. So that market is going to just explode with legalization and people getting more comfortable with actually taking wagers on women's sports.
Well, yeah, I mean, I bet on cricket. I don't know anything about cricket.
But you bet on it?
Yeah.
Just for fun?
Well, when it's, going on and I see some tweets, yeah, I'm always like really heavy team India.
So do you bet like Russian ping pong too?
No, but now that
that
you
sounds
brought it up.
Oh,
Yeah, I like
the
parlays.
pandemic.
I like
pandemic. Colorado still does it, and the pandemic became because we had nothing to bet on, so they started taking wagers on Russian ping pong.
How did that go?
They're still doing it now. I mean, they're making money on it, obviously, because they're still booking it, but I can't actually believe they're booking it, but they're booking it.
Well, I mean, we just were walking by the craps table yesterday, and that was one we were all pretty unfamiliar with. So this guy who was manning the table took us in and explained it, and they're just betting on dice and betting on side bets and betting on bets. So as long as the lines are there, they will come. But I guess that's my question is what is it going to take for these lines to be set? Because women's soccer, especially the national team, is so popular in the U.S. and maybe not the NWSL. The numbers aren't the same as other numbers that lines are being set for, but the growth opportunity in that has already been realized in broadcasting. something we say in women's sports all the time, I'm sure you're familiar, is that you need coverage.
Yeah.
It's not the fact that the product is bad. We need coverage. Coverage, just blows everything up. But it seems like betting would also create
Help
interest.
that, yeah.
Buick's running an ad right now during the men's tournament about the fact that women's coverage is receiving basically 10%.
Shout out Darren Rovell.
Okay?
I did.
So that run, I mean, what Buick is doing, I think is very intelligent to kind of highlight this and highlight to someone like me who has a 7-year-old daughter who I know where my child, she's going to play sports, she's going to grow up playing sports, but she's going to have to raise her hand and be like, wait a minute, why am I not getting the same attention, the same opportunities? I'm playing just like the boys are. So I think that's always been a really interesting look. It's going to take, from a sports betting perspective, it's going to take people who actually know how to take the wagers. So books, it's a business, right? So you got to have people who are going to win. So if you get an expert, the best female handicapper of basketball, football, soccer, whatever it may be, they get jobs in sports books in risk rooms. So eventually we're going to have somebody who's an expert in knowing every single team in women's basketball and knowing how to set a line in every single game. And they do it now through algorithms. They do it now through computers.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
What is it now if there's not women?
They use
in
it.
those
It's just
spaces?
they don't take big bets on it. They're not comfortable, so the limits are very low. And the interest, most people don't know that you can bet right now on who's going to win the women's softball World Series. Like you can go into a book right now and make that bet. But the market's small because it hasn't been amplified, hasn't been talked about. So that's going to be the future, I think, as we amplify women's sports in general. You also amplify the fact that you can win money betting on this sport.
But it's going to take somebody going in who's very confident in their knowledge to create the lines and also ensure some confidence in the
Business.
books.
No, it's going to come down to business. It's supply and demand. Sports books are going to make lines and take bets based upon the demand of the customer coming in. And I think as women's sports grows, I think people who watch women's sports, like my co-host for the Bostonian versus the Book, the show that we do every weekday, has 3 daughters. 2 of them are huge softball. One goes to college, plays in softball. He coaches a travel team with his other daughter, and they watch softball all the time. And he was a 25-year bookmaker, and he's telling his daughters that, look, this is going to be an opportunity. You can make money one day doing this if you know softball because the sport is exploding right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, women's softball is taking off like crazy.
Well, I'm surprised. I'm saying that he's telling his daughter,
Oh, yeah.
keep up with this, because I guess I wondered if is that really the most important prerequisite, is just knowing something so intimate?
No, but I mean, knowledge of numbers is obviously, sports betting, when you really break it down, is a numbers game. It's all about numbers. So there are algorithms, there are computer programs, there are things that are set up that will tell you basically they'll run 10,000 simulations and this is what actually is going to happen. Then you take that simulation and you look at it from other factors a computer can't get into, home field advantage, who actually is hot, who's in, who's out. You start playing around with the numbers that way. But you look at the audience size and the audience doesn't know, hey, you could bet on this. And the Women's College Softball World Series is a huge event. They go to California and here in Nevada to these big, huge showcases, and there's like 10,000 people there to watch these girls play. So it's an exploding opportunity. And as you enter the idea of, hey, did you know you could bet on this? It's like, wait, what? I can bet on this.
Is it going on right now?
Yeah. For softball? Yeah.
Who should I bet on?
I
We're here. I've got hours for my I fly out at 11:55 p.m.
UCLA wouldn't be a bad one to jump on.
Ooh, that's
Oklahoma would be a good one.
Okay.
This is all from Dave Sherapan. So Dave, if you're watching this, I'm not stealing you. This is Dave's content. This is my content. I could not tell you one person on any of those teams. He just tells me who you should bet on. So he would say, bet Oklahoma, bet UCLA. And then there was one other West Coast team he was telling me I was forgetting about, but maybe Cal State Fullerton.
That sounds.
That works out. But like those are the markets that people don't know about. And I think just like I did not know that Creighton and Iowa were playing today. Okay, I'm very close to Creighton University. I've been watching the men's team for a while. Huge NCAA tournament game. I turned on. It was on ABC, big ABC, which was huge to see it. I turned it on. There's the game. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know the game was on. That's the problem that we don't have. You mentioned coverage and the attention that's not being shown, the spotlight's not being shown. The world is so chaotic and there's so much fighting for our attention that it's tough to break through. And I think we will have eventually more and more young girls demanding that happens, that they want this. Like I want to watch stories on this person or this person, and I want to watch a basketball game or a soccer match or whatever it may be involving these sports teams. That I think ultimately will will grow as more and more young women like my daughter who will come up and say, hey, this is not like I want this coverage. Why don't I have the same type of access to information that everyone else has always had?
Yeah, that Caitlin Clark is the Iowa.
Iowa won, right? I think Iowa won.
I would be very surprised if
they were down. They were down the whole game. Caitlin
Oh
Clark
my-
had hit 1-3, and it was like when I left the house, it was like 58-55.
Oh, no.
Iowa, and Creighton had led the whole game. So I don't know how it ended up, but it was a sold out environment, and like there's certain pockets in the country right now that women's sports and women's athletics are just huge, and a lot of it's on the college level at the moment, but it eventually will start to become like the WNBA here. I mean,
That's what the Aces.
Yeah.
Did that kind of help with the
Huge.
betting because now it's someone that's in the
Yes.
town
And people
that they
bet
can
the
see?
Aces all the time here. The WNBA
That's
is
cool.
very well bet in Vegas. It's a very fun event to go to. I took my daughter when we had the WNBA All-Star game here. I took my daughter. That was her first ever basketball game. She was 4 years old, and she was like, what? She didn't, it's like, women playing what, though? She just didn't, it didn't click in her head. She could, no, this is really cool. And so, like, that experience and exposure is so incredibly important is to show our young children, our daughters, hey, this is what's going on, our boys too, for that matter, that like this is what's going on. This is the sport that's being played. And here, having the WNBA here has been phenomenal. The Aces have been one of the best teams. You know, they've been having the success that they had right out of the gate, which was really, really cool. So yeah, people do bet the Aces a lot here. It's fun.
This is a little bit of like a deeper, maybe more philosophical question, but is any other element of gambling in general, not just sports gambling, gendered? Because there are like all kinds of things you were talking about before. Your mom is a lactation expert, or was her whole career, and so she noticed that there are certain things people haven't thought about that are conveniences that women need to go throughout their lives. So I'm just curious if there are anything else where you think this was very clearly set up for
Men,
yeah,
There's no
whether it's
debating it.
in person, whether
Yes.
it's, I mean, I'm not going to lie.
it's
There's a lot of guys here this weekend.
it is an
Not a lot of
intimidating.
girls.
It is an intimidating thing for even for men. Okay?
Yeah.
Even for men, when you walk up, the biggest barrier to sports betting, the reason why mobile applications have exploded is because walking up to a window where you have to talk to a teller and basically admit that you don't know what you're talking about. That's really difficult. It's all these numbers. Minus 110, minus 115, minus 7, minus 7.5. What does that mean? What do those numbers mean? Should I care if it's 6.5 in football versus 7.5? Should I care if it's 3.5 versus 2.5 in basketball? Like all these questions you have to like verbalize. And so it's a little bit like for men, it's like a real big shock. For women, it's doubly where you have to walk up and be like, okay, can you teach me how to bet? The same thing happens on table games. So you walk up to a table game, never played craps before. It's like, okay,
It's literally happened yesterday.
yep. You're staring at the table and you're like, come line 5, 6. What's that number mean? Where did I go? Who? What? 7? Craps? What? All those things are very intimidating for anybody. So that barrier to entry with sports betting is one of the biggest things we have to knock down for women, because new women gamblers are the same as new men gamblers. There's no difference between the two. It's just we expect men to know more. Oh, you're a guy, you should know about sports. I met plenty of guys who know nothing about sports.
So have we.
Yeah, who know nothing about sports, who know nothing about the game, but just because the gender says they're supposed to. So that is one of those things. From how do we break that down? How do we make it more acceptable? How do we make it less intimidating? That's for us in the gambling industry, or even in table games in general, to make it okay to say, I don't know.
Well, and shout out to Arthur yesterday at the craps table. He saw us looking and he said, "Come here, guys. It's slow. I'll teach you how to play." He very obviously
did.
saw that we did not know what
But
was
that's
going on.
perfect. That's what
Yeah,
they're
that was
trained
great.
now to do that, to recognize people who might be looking and saying, hey, guys, you want me to explain this? Because it's all gibberish. I mean,
It's another language.
it really, I mean, all of it. I mean, what, why am I putting my money here? And did I lose? Did I win? Like,
Well, that's the other thing. It's your money. So
Yeah.
you're not. It's not just like
Right.
you're fucking around in the kitchen.
Right.
You're like trying to make a dish. It's
Right.
your money.
Yeah,
that you're
so
just
you want to
putting
make
into
sure
this
you're
thing.
doing something right.
Yes.
But shout out to our guy Arthur, and he did teach us some stuff at the craps table. But
anybody win?
We
We
didn't
didn't
actually play.
play.
'Cause by that time
okay.
in the night, the minimum was like 100, and I was like,
but I
practice this online first.
Win
yeah.
is, you're in a,
Yeah.
you're in a casino that's not going to be cheap to gamble in.
but I said something wrong that I didn't know that I was wrong. I guess. Well, I know you're not supposed to say 7 when it's rolling, but I asked about the roller. Like the guy
Yeah.
next to me was winning, and I was just like, oh, like how often do they change the rollers? They're like, no, don't say that. Don't say that. Is there anything in like betting that you're not supposed to say?
Supposed to not bet with a $50 bill, which is the dumbest thing.
Really?
$50 bills.
I didn't know that.
I have a $50. Remember, Haley? I have a $50 bill. I was like, oh, I got
putting
this 50.
$50s on a table or at a counter in Vegas. They consider
Okay.
$50 bills are considered unlucky. Why? I have no idea.
That's definitely an industry thing where they're like,
yeah.
You just don't want to break
worried.
gambling was like, no, come with your hundreds.
Yes, that's what they want. They want Benjamins. They don't want the 50. They think it's if you pull out a bunch of 50s, it's like, oh no, and then like the last person on the shoe of of playing 21, they think that person doesn't know what they're doing because they can ruin the whole table. They can kind of, but not really. Other superstitions. No, not. I think that's kind of it. Those are the ones that you don't talk about the roller. You don't talk about how many times someone has won in a row when they're rolling. Like you just
you just don't say it.
You let it. You just let it
talk.
ride. Yeah, like you don't upset that mojo. You just let it ride. Whatever's happening, 8, 9, 10 in a row, like it's fine. Don't yell out numbers. Yeah, that's another one. I think that's it.
I brought my notebook.
Well,
Yeah.
so when you were talking about making it just more accessible in general, especially sports gambling, and you said that you guys are everyone is trying to actively figure that out, which I appreciate. Is there anything off of the top of your head that you would recommend? Because I think we might be calling this episode "The Girlie's Guide to Gambling."
Okay, sure.
So, and Jordan hasn't before. I was going to after this, take her to the sports book, maybe do a couple yesterday. We did roulette, Harry.
But like,
had a great time.
Here's the difference. One of the big things about betting in a casino versus betting in a sports book, the big difference, and this is why sports betting is not a major moneymaker for the casino. So here in Vegas, the casinos will make in the area of like $2 billion a month on slot machines. Okay?
On slot.
On slot machines. Okay? They will make, Nevada casinos will make on average in a way around $400,000 to $500,000 a month on sports betting. Okay? It is a monster difference.
Wow.
Okay? The reason, sports betting is a small hold business. They're going to make 3 to 5%, okay? Just based upon the fact that a game takes 2 hours.
Yeah.
You can lose $100 that you guys saw at a table.
Very quickly.
Okay?
This guy, oh my God. Listen, if you're for some reason listening, this guy, if you know who you are, what shirt do you have on? Like some kind of mountain-looking shirt. I don't know. He came up. We were playing roulette. Okay. We were there. We were very conservative. He comes up regularly, this like probably 22-year-old guy in a green shirt, and would just put down a $1,000 chip.
Yep.
And it wouldn't work, and he'd just walk away.
Yep.
And then like he kept coming back, and I didn't even want to be around him. It was making me so nervous.
But you realize that $1,000 to him was like $5 to you.
Yeah.
Well,
the inflation of
So you have to realize that like, for a lot of people, gambling is incredibly personal. So like to that person, it's only worth his time to have a grand. We call it a dime in sports betting.
You call a grand a dime?
It's a dime, yeah. Nickel is a 500, dime is 1,000. So if you hear someone say, I want a dime, it's $1,000 down.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Nickel is 500.
Okay.
So if someone says, I want 2 dimes, they want $2,000 down on whatever the team is. But for him to get interested, it has to be $1,000. So for us, it could be $5. But for him to get interested in it, it's what gambling is such a weird, and I've been in it long enough that like I've seen a lot of it, is that like everyone has their own barrier where it's worth their time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like how much money is it? How much money do you have to invest in it for you actually to want to pay attention? Because when you bet on sports, it's proven this, it's watching the sports leagues go through it right now. But like if you have up to $5 on a game, you will be in the area of like 75% more interested in the game throughout the entire game. Sure. You will watch the entire time.
Yeah.
So think about having $500 down or $1,000 down. And so you're watching it, and you're glued to it because you have an investment in the outcome. Mm-hmm. So that's why all the leagues are so geared towards getting new gamblers in these new states to get them to pay attention, because it makes their television ratings go through the roof. More TV ratings means more money for them ultimately. So like in Vegas, we know that the big market, the table games and the slots is where you make all the money. But the fun is a lot of time in the sports book. Mm-hmm. And you can spend 3 hours. You go watch a game today, and you put $10 down on a game, whatever game tonight you want, Duke and Michigan State. So you go bet on a game. You're going to sit there and watch it for 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And you may only have like $15, $20 on the game, but you're invested because you're really interested in it. But the person at the slot machine that's playing the dollar slot just burned through $200, $500, $1,000 in that same time that you were watching your $15 game going on. They just rip through that thing. So that's what people don't realize about betting. And a lot of times, mobile betting is what keeps it on your couch, and you can just make a play, and you're sitting on your couch, and that's what I do every day. All the bet I make is on my phone, and you just make the bets. You don't have to go physically into a sports book. So that, I think, is a barrier to open women to sports. The phone is a huge deal.
I would agree because, this is true of a lot of things. Jordan, I'm sure you had this too. When you are a marginalized gender and you're like, I'm going to get into sports or something that is inherently masculine, you do feel like, I think everybody's aware of this phenomenon now where you have to know everything, even to have a base level interest. So I would read
just not to interrupt you, but that is that type of male behavior, if I'll call it that, has to stop as we go.
I agree.
as we progress and as we raise our young children, our boys, that type of thing where a woman has to be perfect always just to get even the time is insane. And in sports betting, unfortunately, I feel like I'm back in radio 20 years ago. Because if you are in sports betting, you can't just like have a bad streak. Like you can't just lose. Like you have to be way more successful or into it. And you have to have even thicker skin than I have. I mean, guys, people come at me all the time. They write horrible things about me on the internet, whatever. But I just brush it off. I've been in talk radio for 20 years. It doesn't matter to me. But like someone who might be like 25 years old and they're getting involved in sports betting for the first time, or they're involved as a content creator and they go through a losing streak or whatever, it's like men are so quick to go and just attack. And I don't think they ever stop to think, like, would you say that same thing to a guy who just started with sports betting? Like, would you have that same type of like quick reaction to stick a knife in them and be like, you're done, you're an idiot, you're whatever insult you want to come up with? So that's my big frustration when it comes to making it a more accessible media landscape, but also sports betting and sports media landscape, is that can't we just judge everybody on the same level? Like if you know something, you do or you don't. And you have an area of expertise, because guys, the dirty secret about sports betting, everyone loses.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Nobody really knows. Yeah.
Can we swear?
Yeah.
Can I swear? So my co-host has a line because nobody knows shit. Okay. And this is, we talk about this all the time. Nobody knows shit. People like to pretend they know stuff. Guys love to pretend they know stuff. Okay.
I feel like
that's in every
area like him.
Guys don't know shit. Okay. No one.
Again.
When you put a shot up, okay. When Steph Curry takes a shot, I know there's probably a 65-70% chance that's going to go in, but he's going to miss 3 out of 10 times. He doesn't think he's going to miss, but he misses. We all miss. We all lose. Everyone in sports betting. It is mathematically difficult to win. The best gamblers in the world hit 54%. They're losing 46% of the time. And that's the best of the best who are making the biggest impact and making their actual living on it. The dirty secret of sports betting is that everyone is full of shit. It's incredible. Everyone's full of shit. They all lie. They all boast. They all pretend. They all like to say, I know this, I know that. It's like toxic masculinity is one thing, but like it's on like a whole different level in some sectors of sports betting, because a lot of the guys are older, as you've seen. Okay. So now we're talking about 65, 70-year-old people who have been raised in a different world than what we are here today. And some of them don't like it. Some of them don't like the way the world is right now. So it's like, that's ours. It's our one little thing. And you guys are infiltrating what we're doing. So I'm all for blowing it up and changing it and making it as accessible as possible. The phone's the way that it happens, because you don't have to worry about that walking up to a board and going, woo.
There really is something, because you can Google on the side what everything means.
100%.
So you can make sure you don't even have to worry about saying the wrong thing. You're just going to plug it in.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't need to know when you say it. Like walking up in the other kind of funny thing, and I don't know if you guys are like this too, but like money is real in your hand. Money on a screen sometimes is kind of like,
oh, it's fake. Yeah,
that's why online shopping
right?
gets me every time.
It's real, right? It's real, but is it really real? Like, am I putting $100 down, or am I putting down just like 3 little numbers in there? Like, what am I really doing? Is that money actually existing? So like that also is a little bit of a trick when it comes to the phone, because you can go ahead and I just take some numbers from this account and I'm putting numbers on that account, and I can just go ahead and do whatever I want, and then I win or lose. So the phone is a very big game changer to bet on it.
I think also just the knowledge that everybody, the 54% of the best gamblers are lost. What was the 54%?
The best gamblers in the world hit at 54%.
There you go.
46% of the time they're losing.
Okay, there we go. So that to me is like the biggest takeaway. That technically everybody is losing in this.
Everyone
no matter how much you know, you can never.
Because gambling, minus 110. Okay, this is our intro to gambling. Minus 110 means in order to win $100, you have to put up $110. So you're ultimately putting up $10 more than the book is.
Got it.
Then it just goes up from there, okay? And there's different odds and different percentages, but as we start the fundamental bet, meaning $110 to 100, we as players are already at a disadvantage. We're already down. Mm-hmm. So you're walking in down $10 and you're trying to get over that over and over again. So if you're you have to hit at a 54, 53, I think it's 52.5% or something like that. You have to hit to get over the juice, as they call it. It's very difficult. Billy Walters, who was one of the most famous gamblers of all time, said his best year ever was 57%. That's the Michael Jordan of betting. Okay, that is the Michael Jordan. 57% was his best year ever. So it's just those are the things where people don't fully grasp gambling. But if you're coming into it as a female, just understand that the guys don't know anything either. They act like they do. They all lose. They all lose consistently. DFS, they all lose. Hey, I know about this because I watch my team. No, you don't. Like, you probably bet on your team every day and lose every day. So don't you can take your boyfriend and totally rip his line off and be like, show me your account, like for real. Like, show me how many times you bet, how many times you lose, and then do the math. And I guarantee you he's losing.
Even if you are, even if someone is very familiar with gambling, that does not necessarily mean that they are good at it.
No, it's really hard. I have some weeks where I'm on fire and I'm like 17-3 and I'm like, this is amazing. The next week I'll go 0-10. I'll just get completely. It's the biggest roller coaster, and it's emotionally draining. And you have to stay emotionally. You have to stay very much committed to it. And it's one of the reasons why new gamblers get out of it, because it's taxing. I mean, it's not fun to lose your money. It's not fun to I had all this and now I have that. It's like, that's no fun. So slow and steady. The other thing is, if someone tells you to bet a parlay, do not bet parlays. They are losing wagers.
I was going to say, that's Haley. I just learned what a parlay is because of Haley.
Everybody wants to do bet a little to win a lot, okay?
That's my bread and butter.
All right,
I don't have
they
any
love
bread
you.
anymore.
The books love you. They build wings onto the wind based upon you and that philosophy.
That's why I took a 2-hour shower this morning. I was like, I paid for this.
Okay? Do not bet parlays. Okay?
Oh, shit. Okay.
Parlays are a loser. You don't get true odds. They are lottery tickets. Okay? If you're betting a parlay, the only parlay I can honestly say, 2-leg moneyline parlays aren't awful. 3 legs should be the most you ever play. Anything more than a 3-leg parlay is a bad bet. I don't care what I don't care what it is. I don't care how many guys. Okay? That is a bad bet. I know hitting close to home, but it's a bad bet. Anything 4 legs or higher, because you're not getting true odds from the sports book. Well, we won't go into that now, but you're not getting your real odds by betting it. So books don't like me to say that, because books, I don't know if you guys sponsor.
Don't worry, books. I'm gonna keep doing it.
Sports books love parlays. That keeps them in business.
Very interesting.
What they hold from a profit perspective on a straight bet versus parlay wagers is like 6 to 7 to 1.
Oh, goodness. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So for a newbie like me, if I'm going in for my first game, just go one game.
Pick a side.
Pick a side.
Pick either a money line. Who's going to win? Okay.
Okay. Let's just start there.
Start there. Okay. Walk up. Look at a game. Who's going to win? Okay. Most likely try to avoid playing heavy juice, which is the minus 200 or 300, but you might have to in your first bet.
Okay.
But the point spread's going to tell you how many points they have to win by. That can also be a little simple. You're like, okay, they have to win by 3 points. Okay, I can do that. Normally it'd be minus 110. So if you're going to put, it's it's $55 to win 50 or 110 to win 100. So you just go in there and make that bet. Watch the game. You're not going to become a millionaire. The reason why
you needed to say that. Thank you.
There's a reason why the sports books put up their tweets for every person.
For some reason, I'm like, none of this applies to me. Like the parlay thing, the millionaire. I'm like, everyone should listen to him.
Have you seen the tweets? Have you seen the tweets where someone puts a $10 bet down and they have a 20-leg parlay and they win $500,000?
Yeah,
right?
like the rarities. Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think they tweet that out? There's
do more parlays.
hundreds of people who are doing that. It's like catfishing. It's like they're just throwing it out there to get you to think that could be me. What? That person, why can that be me? It's literally out of the lottery's textbook. Why do lotteries hold press conferences for people that win? Because they want you to say, it was John Smith from the town over. He went to that convenience store. I go to that convenience store. Oh, and now it's the same principle when it comes to parlaying. It's a lottery ticket. They can hit, but it's not. Money management to me is a huge deal with sports betting. Flat wagering means you make the same monetary amount every time you bet, regardless of the juice.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. So another tip, whatever your bankroll is, your bet size should be basically 3 to 5%, whatever your total is.
Total that I'm planning on betting. That,
bankroll.
Okay.
So
that week, that day, that month.
Period. Whatever you can lose that your life would never change. Okay, your bankroll should never be an amount of money that if it went away tomorrow, it would never change the single thing, car payment, rent, anything. Nothing changes if you lost all the money. So like say you take $100. It's $5, 5%, $3 to $5. Most books make you have a $3 minimum or $5 minimum, but 5% of that. So then you just add the zeros as you go up with it. That's your bet every time. $5 on $100 every single time you bet, regardless of the juice, whatever the line is, doesn't matter. You stay in the game, okay? It's gonna be slow and steady. I preach to my audiences, we are not the tortoise, or not the hare, we are the tortoise. We're going very slow, incrementally winning more money as we can go.
I thought you said Taurus at first. I was like, that does add up because they are more mature, they're better with their money, they're stubborn. So I was like with you, and then you said hare, and I was like,
no. We're not going fast, okay? There's no quick fix. There's no way the books, because the dirty secret of like with lotteries and everything else is like, if you do win $10,000 on a parlay, chances are you're going to lose 5 or 6 of it back because you're going to keep on betting. And I just hit it. Look at me. I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to bet more and more and more. So like that's bankroll management, slow and steady. Whatever, that is the most important thing to understand. Try to stay in the game. Try not to go out quickly because it's easy to do it. You can burn out fast.
Matt, before we go, can you tell us your what adjective do you want to use? Your best gambling story, Jordan? What
most
your
memorable,
wildest? And it could be something you saw too. Like I just saw a guy get in the fight with the convenience store host.
My most wild story is actually not in sports betting. It actually is in playing in poker. So I was working in Omaha, Nebraska, and I was the afternoon drive show host there. And the casino in town asked me, would I come and play in a poker tournament? They would pay me a talent fee to go play in the World Series of Poker satellite event where the winner got a seat in the World Series of Poker.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay. All right, $10,000 seat. This is cool. Pay me $250. Okay, yeah. On a Saturday afternoon, I'll go in there and play.
So you didn't have to do you didn't have to
I went and played. I went and played in the poker tournament, but I didn't pay the entry fee. They paid it
and
for
they
me.
Paid you.
And they paid me. So I walked in essentially up $500. So, all right. This is in the poker boom. So I decide I'm going to do something a little bit more chaotic. I'm going to go and actually like pretend like I know what I'm doing. So I walk in like this really tight shirt, hat.
I gotta look the part.
I always do have
My hat's pulled down low. I got glasses and I got my earbuds in.
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
So I'm like, I'm playing this for real. So I'm playing a couple hands, blah, 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 blah. So we're playing. After about an hour, I'm like, there were 2,000, I think there were 500 people. I think we're down to like 250. We took a break. We come back out. And one of my friends was there, and he was just like, how you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just playing. I'm winning. I'm alive, blah, blah, blah. He's like, are you going to play aggressively? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe. And he's like, you should probably just play aggressively. I'm like, okay. So I start playing really aggressively. I start winning and winning and winning. Well, I'm all in with this table with 5 people, and I have a pair of 2s. I'm totally bluffing. I'm bluffing the entire table. I'm just bluffing and bluffing and bluffing.
Wow.
On the river, flips over a 2. I knock out the entire table. All of a sudden, everyone's like, uh-oh, this guy knows what he's doing. And it starts to click. This is my first time ever playing poker live. Okay? I've never played poker live before in my life.
They played it on the computer.
I knew,
Like, till you make
I knew
it.
the rules, but I never actually stood across. So we're going and going and going and going, playing and playing and playing. I make the final table. Okay, we're at the final table. Keep going,
How
keep
many
going.
people are on the table?
This is 5. So now we're down to 5
Of 500.
of 500.
The first time you've ever played.
Goodness.
First time I ever played live.
What?
So then I'm watching, I'm getting these cards, and now I'm like, they're intimidated by me. Like because they're playing because they have $250 in play. Like they don't want to get knocked out. I don't. I just start pushing people around. I'm all in on every hand. All in, on. I'm just taking guys out. Bing, boom, 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 boom. Down to me and one other guy. Across the table from each other. Final table comes. They go, this is Matt Peralt from Big Sports 590. The kid that I'm about to play listens to my show every day.
Oh my goodness.
His dream was to come to Vegas to go to the World Series of Poker. He was a puddle. The second he was like, oh shit, I listen to you every day. I beat him in 2 hands. Bam.
Whoa,
Done.
you won?
Killed him. I won the whole thing. Gets better. So now I have a $10,000 seat. Okay, this kid I played, his dream is to go to Vegas to play in the World Series of Poker. He just won $5,000. Second place prize was $5,000. First place prize was the $10,000 seat. Said, look, give me the $5K. I'll give you the seat. Kid's like, you serious? I'm like, yeah, give me the seat. We swap. He gives me $5K. I've got the seat. I turn around and I walk right out of the casino. I'm like on cloud 9. I just won the thing. I sit down right away on a blackjack table. Okay, right.
Oh my,
Oh my
no.
Right-
goodness.
Right on a,
Matt,
I go
think
right-
about what you told us.
Okay, I went right to a blackjack table. $100 a hand, right? 11 and 1. I won 10 hands at 100. I want another $1,000 right there. I walked out of that casino up $6,000 and what they paid me for $250.
What a day.
Yeah.
And then he quit gambling.
I've not played in a poker event since. I've not played live poker
Yeah,
since.
I mean, no
Oh,
offense,
well,
you don't play
that's
poker.
story.
Like,
I don't play poker, but that's my craziest poker
great.
gambling story.
That's great
That I end up $6,000. My producer at the time had to come down to believe it. He didn't believe any of it. He came down. He was like, "Wait a minute, like what? Like how did you do this?" I was like, "I don't know. The car. I should have been dead on that river, but I was bluffing. I had a pair of 2s. The river card flips, and I knocked out the whole damn table. And everybody was like,
It was a tight shirt.
This guy is
It was a tight
It's a
shirt.
tight shirt. Everyone knows this guy
I
knows
think
what he's
it was
doing."
the earbuds for me.
Oh, it was an earbud. It was like glasses. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just
Look the part. Hey,
I
make
saw
it, make
all the
it.
guys doing it, and I was like, all right, listen to music and play poker, and wound up
Wow.
$6,000.
One thing I'll say before we go is
Yeah.
that we know this from yesterday. If you wear a shirt that looks like it could belong on
Dan Flashes.
Dan Flashes, you're either a really reckless gambler or you're a good gambler. We've seen a lot of very wild and
They could be one and the same, by the way.
yeah.
A good gambler and a reckless gambler can kind of be the same person. that could be the same person.
One
Matt-
last
Oh, yeah,
quick
okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Creighton did beat Iowa.
They won?
Yeah.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
So Jim Flannery is the head coach of Creighton. I've known him since 2004.
Caitlin.
Amazing dude. Caitlin Clark, see ya. Iowa. Iowa gets both Iowa men and Iowa women get bounced in the second round of the tournament.
I'm not gonna lie, as a Louisville fan, this bodes
That's
incredibly well.
That's beautiful. Yeah, they won't. Creighton will win the next game. What a win on the road in Iowa City. They won at Iowa City. Wow, that's the biggest win in Flan's career. That is a huge win.
If only people massively bet on it.
Yep.
In Iowa, I bet they did. Because Iowa's legal and they did take bets on women's basketball this year. I bet Iowa. I bet the handle was pretty darn big in Iowa. It was the biggest sporting event in Iowa today. Oh, I guess Iowa State plays tonight, so it was probably. I don't know. I'd be curious.
Yeah, get back to us on that.
There's
I would
more
be
Hawkeye.
interested.
There's more Hawkeye fans than Iowa State fans.
I think you said hot guy fans, and I was like,
Hot guys. Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. Yeah,
Maybe sometimes same thing.
not in
Hawkeye.
Iowa.
Same thing?
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. Thank you, Matt. This was awesome.
Thank you. Whenever you guys want me back on, let me know.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Richie. I'm calling from Houston, Texas, and I want to see the Rockets pick up Jalen Green tomorrow. Yeah, that's about all I need in my life. Thanks so much.